Do you only feel proud of yourself when you're perfect? What if 100% didn't mean flawless? It meant being fully present. We're going to get into it in this 100th episode. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today is our 100th episode. And when thinking about a topic, Joshy and I were like, what should we talk about? And he was like, maybe something with like 100%. And I was like, okay, I have an idea. So this episode is going to be about 100% and reframing it, understanding what it means, and understanding how we can use this new reframe of 100% going forward with any goals that we have, specifically dance, as this is the More Than Dance podcast. When you first hear 100%, you think, oh my gosh, I've got to give it my all or nothing. 100%. It's like, I got an A+. It does like feel good. Like if we think back to like school days when you did get 100, like that felt nice, getting 100. So it would make a lot of sense that when we think of 100%, that we think of intensity, perfection, not having any mistakes, and all of that feels very heavy and hard to attain. And I want to make 100% more attainable for you and for me and for anyone that I come in contact with, because on the dance floor, 100% is what we give. However, a professional dancer knows it's not going to be perfect. Right now, we're watching the Olympics and we're seeing these amazing performances. They're so good, so much talent. They're trying to get the highest score. None of them are getting 100, and all of them are giving 100. So let's take some time to figure out how we can give 100 and not expect to be 100. And right now, I think it might be best to first talk about these two P words, perfection and participation. And perfection is going to be like our old way of thinking, or maybe it's your current way of thinking that you're working your way out of thinking. And participation, and this might strike a nerve with some of you because there's the whole like participation award thing. And it matters in a way because we're not trying to, as an adult, recreationally kick our own ass. Like we're not trying to be mean to ourselves. We're trying to learn and be encouraged and live with curiosity through these activities that we do. Dance is hardcore. It's like a lot on the mind and body. And 100% participation as a teacher of over 20 years is getting 100 in my eyes. It really is. And that 100% of effort is so much. It's like effort points. I got really great grades in high school and college. And a lot of times my points were coming from my effort, my interest in the subject. And the way that I went about school was like, work hard and also see where you can save some time. Like, where can we save some time? Like maybe I'll work extra hard over here because it's easier for me. Kind of let this not be as worky. And so it's almost like I got effort points. So when you think about 100, I want you to think about these effort points that you get to give to yourself. And those are going to add up. There's not like a limited amount of effort points like there is in school. And the more effort that you give, you can exceed. You can still say, wow, I went harder than I did yesterday in terms of effort and participation. That might be feeling like extra credit, like above 100. And then maybe you think about this phrase of being all in. Now, all in can be something interesting because it's like that all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking is, here I am, I'm all in, or I'm not. I'm saying something very similar, so pay very close attention. You can be all in and still not be all in. What am I talking about? I'm going to tell you. Okay, so all in is like everything's all in. Your effort's all in. Your endurance is all in. Your participation is all in. Your execution is all in. The way that you're giving life to your performance, that's all in. I'm actually saying your all in can be your effort all in. And that's it. You're showing up 100% in effort. You're showing up all in with performance quality. And if we were to examine those other categories, those might be 80, 90, 70. And it's about picking. We always go back to this idea of picking that one thing to focus on. So I was a competitive gymnast, and there's all of the scores that you get. And if you know gymnastics, you know that there's vault, beam, bars, and floor. And you get your score on all of those apparatuses. And then you get one other score, and it's your all around score. And it's quite cool because you could get second place potentially in everything and still get first place all around. And you could get third place in like third, maybe even fourth place. In, let's say you get fourth place in vault, but let's say you get first place in bars, beam, and floor, or maybe even you get second place in one of those. You could actually still get first place all around. And that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that you could get a first place all around if you go in thinking that you're not all in with everything, but maybe 80% all in on all of those. And your score accumulates to the feeling of 100% all around. And obviously, like, I'm not going to spend our time here like calculating math with you, but it could be any configuration of any number. You're going to have a place of equilibrium, especially when you've been dancing for some time. There's going to be this state, and it's like, that feels like what I like to give. And when you're growing, when you're getting better, or when you're first starting, or when you're coming back from an injury, that equilibrium, that knowing of where you are is going to feel different, and it will mess with you. Because you'll work more with your mindset to understand your baseline, what it even is. You could be pushing and pulling from other different areas, and maybe you don't feel 100% all around when the class before the injury or the class before you maybe did. So I want to walk you through some moments, specifically because this is the 100th podcast episode. I want to tell you a little bit about 100% and what that looked like for me this entire year of filming a podcast. For one, we know that when I started, it was like a big deal, and it didn't feel scary, but it felt like a commitment. And it felt like if I start, I want to be so committed in what I'm starting that I can make it last. You know, like I don't want to just like, hey, I'm starting a podcast and 5 episodes down the line, it's like, Christy, where'd your podcast go? I'm a committer. So I wanted to make sure that I could commit to this for a long period of time. And that also meant that Josh needed to be ready for that commitment as well. What you didn't see was it took about 2 years behind the scenes of mental dress rehearsing what this would feel like doing this and being committed to this. And if you remember, I used to go live every Wednesday and I would talk about topics just like this in a more informal way. And it was great practice for me because it was like, can you talk for an extended period of time? And can you think of ideas that you might want to share? And does your audience enjoy those ideas? And with Josh, it was like, okay, well, we know how amazing he is at videography, and we know how amazing he is at angles and color. And it's become now, which is so cool that we get to say that we do this together, because it's something constant now in our lives that we can look forward to and be out in the real world with and be like, oh, that would be such a cool podcast idea. Or we got to talk about this next time. Or when we're talking to people and like we have some type of subject that comes up that it relates to what we're saying. We're like, oh my gosh, we talk about this all the time. Listen to this podcast episode. So it has opened doors and everything's exciting. And that's very much like how you are when you're starting dance. You're very excited. And it's also like, whoa, like, am I going to be able to commit to this? Because you're not sure, really. Kind of like when I started DJing, I was like, whoa, am I going to really enjoy this? I'm committing. I'm going all in a softer way. I'm going in. Sometimes I feel like I want to show you like compartments to show you what I'm thinking, like where my brain is. The all in, we're going to call it like the modified all in. It's like the healthier version of all in, the more aligned all in. How about that? Versus the other all in, which could be very detrimental to your progress. When I jumped all in to DJing, I was committing to, okay, like I'm going to invest in the equipment. It was a big investment to jump in like that. What I didn't do though, I didn't jump all in over here, which would have been like thinking I would have to be so perfect, or it would be thinking that I could book all these events. And I did book a lot of events. And the difference between the events that I was booking, I was doing outside parties and some weddings versus like all weddings or maybe high-end luxury weddings. So I didn't have that expectation on myself. And maybe it is time to talk about expectations. Expectations are going to get you in a different frame of mind. So I encourage you to keep that in check while we really think about this concept together. So when you're stepping in to dance, there's a lot of expectation. And it could be because you've had prior experience dancing. And I get this often when a student comes in and they do have experience dancing. They almost feel like they should be better because they've had dance experience. And they put a lot more pressure on sometimes than a beginner does, because it's like, I've been here. I've been in a dance studio before. I remember these things. And they forget that, well, if you take 15 years off of something, you get to learn those things over again. Like, how is it that we can hear a phone number and just like be so acceptable, like I'm going to forget that, or hear a name, even like when we're out meeting people, like I'm probably going to forget that person's name. I don't want to. But yet, where's the leniency when we haven't done something in 15 years and that expectation of, I don't remember this, like I should be able to remember this. No, it's just like learning a random person's name. It's just like trying to list off like 100 people's birthdays, or any fact that is interesting for a second, that is something that you'd have to repeatedly remember to remember it. But that's the expectation that comes into my studio, and we get to rework that frame of thinking. And this is part of it. It's understanding that 100% doesn't need to be 100% like that. So just like when I started my podcast, wow, like there's growth happening right now. And I'm going to tell you this so honestly, this episode is like, what you're not hearing right now is like me stopping to think of like the words that I want. I pause and I'm like, oh my gosh, like which word do I want to use here? And what you're not seeing I'm not showing it, but inside, Josh doesn't even see this, is the frustration that's building because I feel like I'm not able to get my words out. This, for whatever reason, happens to be probably because of this. This is why I love the universe, is like the reason why I'm struggling with this particular episode right now is because it's fueling into what my message is for you to hear. And that is actually just so cool. And I can be grateful for that, because I am building up frustration right now because I have this subject that I'm talking to you about. And while it develops in other categories. And because I'm a visual person, I speak visually, which is funny, isn't it? Because I'm a dancer. So doesn't that make sense? I know that my audience is you right now, and you might be listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something that is not the YouTube, and my YouTube people, they're seeing it. But because my audience is vaster, I am talking it as if someone couldn't see me so that they could listen and still understand what I'm saying. And I noticed this when I'm telling stories. Like the other day I was talking to Josh about a whole story about something that was like wild, but I needed like figures to show him the story. It was like the best way that I could do it. And we used sweet potatoes. So I was just like holding sweet potatoes and I was like, and this, and this, and this, and like holding different potatoes. And he was like, oh, I get it. And like, you know what I mean? And he's visual too. So it's like, that's how we speak together. So this thought of 100% is like, it's really a nice alleviation, because it's like, well, who needs to be 100? I definitely didn't set myself up for being 100. Not with this. Podcasting is the newest thing to me, other than I'm learning how to sew. And I'm not expecting 100% there. I'm not expecting 100% here. In fact, right now, if I were to grade myself on this, like I'd give myself like a 40, because it's like the way that my brain is moving faster than my voice connection is tripping me up. That tells me I get to slow down. And that might be exactly what you need to hear as well when you're jumping into something all in. When you're going 100% with effort on something, you could get confused and get so like excited potentially. Because this is excitement. This is excitement from my end, like excited to deliver this concept. And your excitement could be, I just can't wait to learn all those dance moves. And it's like, I want that, and I want that, and I want to learn this, and I want to get better at that. And it's like holy overwhelm. Like that is going to drive you. And I've seen this. It drives people away, because it's like the bunch of I can't, I don't know. And that feeling, if you remember the episode on the rule of thirds, which is episode 84. In that episode, we talk about how it's great to be great at something, great to be working on something, and great to be really challenged by something. And if you're challenging yourself in all of your categories, it won't feel good. So in summary, I did go 100% in with podcasting. And at the same exact time, a lot of them were very messy. Sometimes I didn't feel ready to podcast with certain ideas. I didn't feel like I fully developed them yet. And I have a schedule. And Josh has a schedule. And 2 episodes get to be released every week. So got to do it. Some were really powerful and some I felt like really great after, like, oh yeah, like I felt like I really articulated that well. And there were some that like halfway through where I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should just pick a different topic. And I didn't do that, actually. I always finished and I never really pivoted because I did want to give myself that grace. So 100% in my case with these podcast episodes means that I showed up 100%. I gave my 100% effort. I gave my 100% participation. I gave my 100% for making sure that I filmed and stayed consistent. What wasn't 100% was my articulation. Sometimes listening back, I could say like, oh, I could have worded that better, or potentially timing in our schedule. Josh and I, like, that definitely wasn't perfect. We made it happen. And also there's a lot to reflect on. And that's what's so cool about your life, the power of reflection. We talk about reflection a lot. Episode 83, episode 65, episode 41, because as I do get better at these, my getting betterness doesn't look like this beautiful ascending line like on a graph. It actually looks like a wiggly up and down line that gradually goes up slowly. And that's how progress is. Progress is not linear. So not every class of yours is going to feel like your best class. Not every performance is going to feel like your peak performance. In fact, your body, especially as we are getting older as adult dancers, our body is going to feel different every day. My body feels different every day. And I do a lot of the same thing every day. I dance every day. And we get to accommodate for ourselves. So naturally, if we're accommodating for our bodies, we get to accommodate our minds as well. So for instance, if I'm having a hard time with one of my knees one day, that night, my performance in class while teaching, it's going to maybe be a little bit different. I'm modifying for my body, so I'm going to modify my mind. And it sounds like this. Okay, well, your body feels different today. You get to have grace with yourself. You get to be nicer to yourself. And I get to remember that perfection is never my goal. So instead of thinking that 100% means perfection, no mistakes, no fear even, or even like no days off, like 100, I'm going to do this 100%, no days off. Like, you're going to need a day off. Even awkwardness, I'm not going to be awkward. Awkward is fun. Have fun being awkward. I just love, the funniest moments are like the awkward moments. I just love that, especially at the studio, like when, improv is happening and you just like bump into somebody. Yeah, that was like, oops. Oh, well. So lean more into 100% doing even when you're unsure. Showing up even when you're tired, leaning on your discipline, finishing even when it's uncomfortable, like this episode. And then check yourself and ask yourself, are you giving 100% or are you trying to give 100% perfection? 100% perfection could actually make you hold back. I'm sure you've heard this before where maybe a friend of yours is like, oh, well, I'm going to do that when and then fill in the blank. I hear that very often. I'm going to start dance when I lose 30 pounds. And it's like, why? Why wait to be this perfect thought? Why wait for your life to start? I hear this one too, like, oh, I'm going to start dance like when I have more time. You could also make the time. It's a shift of priority, that one. The weight one, I still don't have answers for because dance is so energetic that people have body transformations all the time. And I do get that it's like a comfort level. They'll feel more comfortable about themselves, looking at themselves in the mirror and maybe potentially wearing the outfits. And also that's part of the process. And it's about that 100%. They're so stuck in 100%. I better be perfect when I show up versus let me show up how I am right now and let me develop as I will with the journey of dance. So they hold themselves back. They wait to hit some type of goal. We don't want our lives to pass and say, I wish I started that sooner. I wish I wasn't so stubborn to the idea that I needed to lose weight before I started, or I had to become a better dancer before I started to learn dance, or any of the other excuses that either you tell yourself or you hear other people say. Full out doesn't mean flawless. And 100% is presence. It's committing even when it's messy. It's actually leaning into the messy. So these 100 episodes did not happen in 1 week. They happened because I chose to show up 100% of my effort and my participation and my love for communicating the message of all the life lessons from the dance floor. I did not show up 100% as a perfect podcaster. So just like I have been doing, one podcast at a time, 1 week at a time, one thought and idea at a time, you get to do one class at a time, one style at a time, one awkward attempt at a time, being 100% responsible for your actions, being 100% in ownership of your growth, and being 100% honest with yourself from your higher self. So in other words, knowing when to check yourself when you're being too mean to yourself. So I have some questions for you so you can reflect. Where are you pretending you're giving 100%, but really you're protecting yourself? What would 100% presence look like this week? Where could you alleviate pressure by lowering the gauge on certain categories so that you could feel 100% all around versus 100% on that exact category? So I hope that you take this thought with you and give yourself the opportunity to feel 100% joy and 100% self-trust, and know that you are doing the work every day, specifically while you're listening to these podcasts, which are all about developing you and yourself as a dancer. So if this was helpful for you, it would mean the world to me if you left a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And you can also share this with a friend, as this is the best way the podcast can grow to reach more dancers just like you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.